Oh my. For those of you that were here for the George Takei, yes? Okay. All right. Quick little thing of business, so those of you who don't know, we have Trek Track shirts, help support Trek Track. One of them is the DS9 20th anniversary Schematic. Pretty cool. The other one is the DS9, again, 20th anniversary. The 2 and the 0 is made of all the actors' names. The D, the S, the 9 is made up of all the character names. And there's also supporting characters. So Galron, Martok, they're all on here too. So this is over at the Cosmic City booth over at the America's Mart. The vendor's room has been moved. So if you're on the first floor, Cosmic City, look for that. If you have the iPhone app, DragonCon 2013, that'll show where we're at. But we have the shirts there for sale over at the Cosmic City booth. Thank you very much. And without further ado, let's bring them out one by one. First of all, Cirroc Lofton. Cirroc Lofton! Cirroc Lofton. Now, Miss Terry Farrell. Miss Terry Farrell. The beautiful Miss Terry Farrell. Oh. And last but not least, Mr. Avery Brooks. Give it up, Mr. Avery Brooks. Have a seat, ladies and gentlemen. You want to sit between? Yeah, just 3 of you. Here, let me get your chair for you. There we go. Thank you. So happy to have you guys here. Look at this. 20th anniversary of DS9. Come on. Let's make sure everyone has a little water. Yes. Cirroc, do you have your cup there? Okay. Oh, Avery already poured his, so I was going to pour yours for you, Avery. Okay.
Did you get this practice at the beginning of your career?
This practice? No. I am one of the few people who never waited tables, actually. So that's why I'm so happy to do it now. That's probably why. Okay, so this is your first time. This is Terry Farrell's first time at DragonCon. Everybody needs a little Dax in their life, right? So, okay. All right, for those of you who have questions, you can line up along the center here. We ask that you sit down so that you don't block anybody's camera angle. But if you have a question, come on over to the front here. Who's our first person? Is it you, sir? Hop on up.
Hey, hi guys, how y'all doing? So my first question is for Cirroc and Avery. So obviously Cirroc, you were growing up as DS9 was filming and in production, and you two had a great father-son rapport on camera. So I was just wondering about, obviously you in your developmental years, whether there was things off-scene, off-camera, that helped you guys build your relationship that had it appear on screen, whether there are things you can talk about with Avery that you couldn't talk about with your own parents or anything like that.
Yes. I would say the majority of, our relationship was off screen. We spent most of our time together waiting. But when we didn't wait, we did things all the time off the set. I'm a big basketball fan. Avery took me to my first basketball game, NBA game. And, that's a moment that I'll never forget. Him introducing me to, guys like Magic Johnson and the great Jerry Buss, rest in peace. Those type of experiences, going to eat dinner somewhere. And just those type of experiences made it real genuine. We traveled the world together. As a matter of fact, we vacationed together during the off season. So there's very personal moments that I've shared with him, that we've shared together, and so the majority of it was off camera. What you saw on camera was just a residual of what we really feel for each other, or what I feel for him. I can speak.
Well, we would hope it's reciprocal.
That's right. You know, I suppose everybody in this room knows this, what I'm about to say. You can't write love. You can't play it. You know what I mean? Either it's happening or it isn't. You know what I'm talking about? I'm not talking about a Hallmark card. You know? Or the original poem. You can't play it. Either it is or it isn't. And for the very first moment that I met Cirroc, 13, he hugged me, and I say, yeah, okay. Here it is. And it's been like that ever since. So what you witnessed, is as real as us sitting together now. Yeah?
It's a good answer. I would have to say that I think one of my favorite episodes of DS9 is entitled The Visitor. Yeah. So touching, so moving, So that shows sort of the on-screen father and son relationship. Who's up next? Young man, is it you? Okay, what's your question?
I'm just wondering, Mr. Avery, you're like different, in Deep Space Nine, you're different from like a lot of the other captains that have been in the different Star Treks. Like, you're not like exploring, but you're controlling a space station, and like you're on the USS Defiant, and you're really torn between the Bajorans and the Cardassian struggle. So being one of the darker characters of Star Trek, how was that?
I think that was figuratively. Figuratively, you are one of the, yes. That young man, Avery.
What was that like for you?
Go ahead, what?
Like being torn between the Bajoran and Cardassian struggle, what was that like for you?
Well, I mean, it was about the writing. I mean, I'll have to say that well, Ira Barrett said it best not long ago, where he talks about this left turn for Star Trek. And what has gone on previously, dark or not. A left turn in as much as we have a man who didn't want to be there. Didn't want to be where he was. Cisco wanted to go home. Go back to Earth. Yes? And raise his child on Earth. He did not want to be known as the emissary. He resisted all these things. And so, how do you fall in love or follow a character who doesn't want to be there? And that was inherent in the writing, and so there was nothing for me to play except, do this brilliant writing, on the page. In fact, if I had thought about it, very much, then, you know, I probably never would have gone to work.
Good answer. Again. Next question, please.
This one's for Terry. Other than Star Trek, I remember years ago you also played an episode of The Twilight Zone, The After Hours, as a woman who's being stalked by mysterious people. And it turns out, you know, she's a mannequin, they're all mannequins, and she was basically slowly turning into them. So, and I was wondering, like, what attracted you to the role, and and were you like a sci-fi fantasy fan before you even got that role, and did that influence your decision to play Dax?
I like your point of view on my career. It would have been exciting to live it the way that you're telling me about it. Huge Twilight Zone fan. Truth is, it was an audition and I was just super excited about it, and I was really lucky that my excitement and love of the Twilight Zone didn't ruin my chances of getting it, because I was pretty nervous reading for it. And it was a remake, so it was something that, this is extraordinarily loud. I don't need to talk so loud. It was a really good story, so that was exciting to play. Unfortunately, the director thought that I wasn't getting upset enough, so he called me a bunch of names while they were doing that Marsha. And there's kids here, but calling me like a female dog. And I said, you know, that's not working for me, because now I'm getting really angry, and it's even harder for me to cry right now because I wanted to punch him. But, you know, in influencing my decision to play Dax, I was, again, it was an audition. It was an audition that I couldn't get into for the summer. It was like the hot role to get, and they couldn't find her. So fortunately for me, I was the last round of girls coming in. They'd seen everybody else. And so that was pretty exciting. Although it was really weird to meet the casting director because, well, she's sort of not seen me all summer. So when she said, "Oh, congratulations," I thought, yeah, bitch, you waited all summer. I was there. I could have started work on time. I didn't need to shoot all my stuff the last week. Get bronchitis over it. Did you hear my question, or did I just was it good?
Yeah.
Right on. I am not a mannequin. No, I do think I look better than the version of the mannequin they did of me.
Just checking.
Oh, touching. He's always touching this one.
Thank you for that question. Next, please.
I have a hypothetical question for all of you guys. Was there ever a role that you wanted to play, not that necessarily that you auditioned for, but you were like, man, I wish I could have done that, or something in the future that you really want to do, just hypothetically anything open?
Cirroc.
All the time. Especially when I watch something and I say, well, I could have done that better. But, I just look at it like opportunities. And sometimes you take advantage of them, sometimes you don't. A role specifically, no. I enjoyed the roles that I've done. If one comes up in the future that I think is interesting enough, I might answer that question differently.
Terry.
Wonder Woman. It's too late now. But I can play Wonder Woman's mom. But you said hypothetically, if I could be 28 again, I would be Wonder Woman. I wouldn't want to not Dax because I think Dax would have been the perfect segue for me to turn around and be Wonder Woman. Yeah. Right? So I mean, duh. I look like I related to
Linda
Thank
Carter.
you.
Yes. Avery?
No. You know, what's remarkable was at the end, they made Cisco a god. Who you play now?
For me, just to interject, I would say when they were looking for the new Doctor, I thought that would have been cool if I came out as Dr. H.U. Doctor Who! Well, I still would have spoke with a British accent, of course, even though I was spelled Dr. H.U. instead of W.H.O. Thank you. Next question.
First of all, I just want to kiss your butts and say that you guys, along with the crew, the writers, and everyone, produced not only some of the best Star Trek episodes, but best TV episodes. You know, there was Duet, Waltz, Killing Light, and of course, Fly Beyond the Stars. All great work.
That's a lot of butt kissing. Keep going.
But my question is, I'm sure you guys had a lot of expectations going into the show before it started, you know, especially not only from the next generation, but also, you know, the original series. And I was wondering if there was anything in particular that might have defied your expectations.
Anything that would have defied your expectations. It just surprised you, basically. Yeah, is that your question, pretty much? Okay. Cirroc?
I'm gonna let Avery go on this one.
Well, when they first, well, I had an agent at the time, but you know, and he called and he said, "Are you a Trekkie?" I said, "No." "Well, would you be interested in reading this thing? This pilot?" And I started to laugh. And I said, "Whoa, man. I'm not putting anything on my face." And then, subsequently, you know, I was here in Atlanta, as a matter of fact. I was artistic director of the National Black Arts Festival. Yeah. 1996. But anyway, so I was here, and they called me and said, "Can you come, you know, fly to California?" I said, "Well, I'm busy." You know, there are people here from all over the world. So I said, "You know, no, I'm really busy." But I know it's only going to take one day. I said, "Okay." And I flew out. And I saw all these, some people I knew and then some people I didn't know. And then on the way back to the hotel, you know, the drivers of the van said, "Well, can we wait for this other person to go back?" And I said, "Sure, I mean, yeah." And this man got in the van, and he was from Belgium. Man. So he turned and asked me, you know, "What are you here for?" Yeah. I said, "Well, you know, the man in charge." Like that. And he had this really quizzical look on his face. You know? I said, "It's okay, baby. They have divergent ideas about who this Cisco is, don't they? It's all right." But then further, I mean, this is not going to be a longer story, much longer, but you know, but further, you know, I have to tell you this, that the principal reasons, and I've said this many times, you know, that I ventured into this is because we would be able to see ourselves some 400 years hence, whole and human. And in this case, brown. You see what I'm talking about? And so the opportunity to have a discussion about the horizon for succeeding generations, and being a single father on top of that, and defending humankind to some intelligence in the universe, intrigued. And that's what I did.
Garrett, anything to add to that at all? No? Okay. I think it was all said, pretty much, right? I won't make you. Okay. Next question, please. Thank you, sir.
I have a question for Dax. And since...
Hi, Dax. Yeah, I did.
And since we're speaking about putting things on your faces, I want to know how long it took you to get into your trill makeup, and if you had if your makeup artist, you did that by hand every day?
Yes, actually, there was a trill on The Next Generation, but it had a forehead. And I had the forehead, and that didn't last very long. It looked like I got hit in the head. It didn't look like specific makeup. And Michael Westmore had made another character on Next Gen, not a trill, but had spots. And I think Famke Janssen played her.
Famke Janssen.
Okay, thank you. I'm not saying that again. But she had spots, and so for Mike to be able to be included for an Emmy, he has to do one character of each show. And so fortunately, I got to be the person who did on Deep Space Nine. And yes, he did hand paint them. And for the first couple of years, I want to say the first 2, maybe 3 seasons, I had watercolor. So it was frustrating because it's very warm in California, and especially when we were wearing wool and all the other crazy stuff we have on. And I used to have to wear tissues around my neck so that the makeup wouldn't come off. And then Mike made sure he talked to somebody who did makeup for tattoos, temporary tattoos. And this stuff got removed by alcohol. And it was great. I didn't have touch-ups the same way I ever had them before, but the bummer was I didn't get the fan. Very nice. It was very nice. There was a fan on the edge of the set, and I really got accustomed to it. So when we're 3 years in, and where's my fan? Well, you don't need your fan anymore. It was one of those moments. I mean, you want to see something stupid like, I am a lieutenant.
Some people have security blankets. You have a security fan.
And it didn't take at first it was a 2-hour adventure for me, and then it got down to probably an hour and a half, an hour when we were towards the end when we were pushing it. But yeah, it wasn't bad. And Mike Westmore's awesome to hang out with. So.
Yes, and plus it was freehand. He did that without a stencil or anything every single time. Mike,
right here.
and then he went out from there.
Yeah.
Mike Westmore also did Chakotay's tattoo, also a freehand every day, every morning. And Michael Westmore is an encyclopedia. This man comes from a very long line of makeup artists from old school Hollywood, basically. And the best thing about Michael was I could always ask him, I said, Michael, do you know a San Salvadorian restaurant in LA? And he would know every single small hole-in-the-wall restaurant of every ethnic food in Los Angeles. He was an encyclopedia, the man was. Great guy.
He won an Oscar for Mask. And my son Max got to hold the Oscar for Max. Just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It was, I saw it and I'm like, oh, Mike, I gotta hold it. It was really funny. Many Emmys.
Yeah.
Many, many.
Thank you for that question. Yep. Yes, sir.
Wow. Bear with me. Mr. Brooks, Cirroc, I just want to say, I was that little brown kid, you know, watching episodic science fiction television, and growing up in the 80s, you didn't see a lot of dignified black people in space, you know. You didn't, you know, you had some guy in Cloud City with a perm and... snitching on his friends. And for me being a kid, you know, from Gary, Indiana, Emerson School for Visual Performing Arts, you were someone that I looked at every week and I said, man, look at the way those two relate to one another. And like you said earlier, that it was believable. And it was so believable to me that a man from where I'm from can reach this level, and not just being an actor, but someone that can, you know, inspire someone else to just do something, you know. And I just want to say to you, Terry, and definitely Cirroc, you know, Mr. Brooks, that I love you and I thank you for being a man, a father, and an inspiration to me, and probably thousands of other little brown kids out there, man. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for saying that. Very well put. Next question.
This would be a question for all three of you, or even all four of you, Garrett, if you wanted to answer as well. Favorite character arc and least favorite character arc for your character.
Wait, say that again?
Your favorite character arc for your character,
Yeah.
your favorite story that you got to play out, and your least favorite that you
Okay.
didn't
Cirroc,
fit.
favorite character arc, least favorite character arc.
Well, you know, first I just wanted to add on to what he was just saying, the young man who just spoke. Avery was that same role model for me growing up, and to get it firsthand and to witness it firsthand, I feel the same emotions that you feel. It's great that I was able to have somebody like that in my life and guide me and teach me right from wrong. In addition to that, I can answer your question and tell you that my favorite role was doing Far Beyond the Stars. And I'll say that although The Visitor was my favorite script to read from start to finish, because I thought it was just a beautiful story, filming Far Beyond the Stars, doing that role, doing those characters, was the most fun for me during my time on the show. Mainly because of the energy on the set. And mainly because Avery directed that episode and created a lot of that energy. He was an inspiration to everyone. He motivated people, energized everyone to bring out the best in their abilities. So I felt like we were all doing something special. And you could almost feel the magic at that moment while we were doing it. And that was my favorite experience on the show.
Thank you. Terry, favorite and least favorite character arc?
What was your least favorite?
Oh yeah, you didn't say your least favorite.
Least favorite? I was stuck in an episode with Colin one time. And we were in this little tunnel, trying to crawl out of this tunnel. And That was a long day.
Terry, any tunnel stories?
I think Trials and Tribulations was the most fun, where I didn't feel like I had pure fun. But the most satisfying as an actress was when I did Rejoined again. Avery directed that. I also like very much Far Beyond the Stars. I do remember there was one take where I stopped myself. I kind of got lost in the character, and Avery was like, "Oh!" And I thought, shit. I was doing what I love. I got lost, and why didn't I wait for cut? What the hell was I thinking? So, I apologize. The reason I rejoined was because it was so important to what was happening to people I loved in my life. And I thought it was really amazing how we all came together and really did our best to try to tell the story in a way that would make people hear us, and try to get us to be noticed, and all of us to be loved as individuals, not because we need to look or be a certain way. Just to love each other just how we are. And for me, that was my excitement about being a part of Star Trek. Because I always felt like I was one of the misfit toys. I know it's hard to believe now, but growing up, I was one of the misfit toys. Don't feel bad for me, I'm fine now. But seriously, that's what Star Trek represented to me growing up. And so in doing that episode, I felt like it was, like Gene Roddenberry would have been super proud of that episode and would have been a big champion for it. So, and I was excited that we preserved and made sure, Avery made sure that shots saved important information, important storytelling that could have ended up on the floor, and did it.
Least favorite story?
Least favorite. I would think any day that I had to sit all day or stand all day, because at first it felt like, yay, I get to sit down. But then, you're into 14 hours of sitting down. And I used to smoke then, and I'll tell you something, that's the kind of thing that kept me smoking, because it was like, oh, I gotta have a cigarette break. Not really. Who needs that in their life? Nobody. But just get me out of this room for a minute. And the same thing with walking. Oh my God, sweet Jesus, can we sit down?
I was going to say your least favorite day was any day without the fan was probably your least favorite day.
So much funnier.
Thank you for using profanity.
Sorry.
No one does that here, so thank you. Avery, can you weigh in a little bit?
Least favorite, it's kind of a toss-up. You remember this? Now, there's nothing wrong with the melody. It's the hopscotch part. You see? I mean, we were caught in this thing, and we couldn't get out. And there's this rhyme and this melody and this hopscotch thing. I said, as we well know, once you do something in the box and you do it on the screen, you'll never live it down. You see, to me, the young man's from Gary, Indiana. I'm glad I didn't go back to Gary, Indiana right after that. And there's the toss-up thing. Again, I was in Atlanta. And they called and said, you have a dentist appointment. I said, for what? Well, you're getting ready to play a Klingon. See, I'm not sure about that. In any case, it's pay or play, so I had no real choice in the matter, but I will tell you that the anger and the resistance that you observed in Cisco playing the Klingon was real. I have to say, the most thrilling of it all, because of so many elements of it, the writing, the fact that we were able to go back to 1953 and talk about, prophetically, somebody writing, Deep Space Nine. I mean, that's brilliant. That's brilliant writing. Aside from the fact that we have to deal with issues, and that's the thing about Deep Space Nine, not exclusively, but that's the thing. Deep Space Nine looked more like we look right now. You know what I'm talking about? Those things you cannot fix. Huh? Those things that we are inextricably connected to. Huh? And that is the challenge, for us to keep looking at ourselves like that, huh? Until we get it right. And so it is far beyond the stars. All these elements, and a chance, to see these people, without prosthetics and other things. It was a thrill for me just to be there, huh? To be there and laugh and, and make the process, give him a process. You know what I'm talking about? It's just, I have to say, but really a toss-up because it was the pilot, that drew me.
Thank you. And next question. Thank you.
Hello. I just wanted to start by thanking you for creating what was one of the most important shows for me growing up. I really loved watching Deep Space Nine as a child, and it was fantastic. One of the things I liked the most about DS9 was the opportunity for stories that were a little bit different than Star Trek had normally. So one of my favorite episodes was Bada Bing, Bada Bang. Yeah. And I loved the stuff with James Darren, and I was just wondering what it was like getting to do these kind of Rat Pack, kind of Vegas-style episodes in the context of Star Trek, and what it was like working with James Darren.
Well, if you, of course you do. You already know what I'm about to say. But in Deep Space Nine, there were all these references, historical, to television. You know what I mean? And periods. And even people who had been, in television, 40, 50 years before. You know what I'm talking about? So these elements, I think one of the charming things about it was that, from week to week, we didn't know what that reference was going to be. Who was going to be in it. Like that. So, the guest stars, it was fascinating because, you never knew who was going to be there. You know what I mean? Tony from West Side Story. You see what I'm talking about? It was fast like that. So yeah, I saw James Darren a couple of weeks ago in Vegas. Yeah, I haven't seen him in a long time. So it was him. That's what I can tell you.
Thank you. Yes. Next question, please.
Hi. Am I allowed to ask 2 questions?
Maybe. Go ahead. Let me hear what the first one is.
I have one for you, Garrett.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case.
Well, first of all, Terry, I wanted to ask what it was like to play a character that had originally been a man. and if that affected the way that you played Dax. And also, I wanted to ask Garrett, like, this is just a general question, if anybody on the set had ever, on Voyager, had ever made the connection that the first woman captain got them lost in space.
Terry, let's go ahead and answer you. Let's talk about, well, all right, you want, Kate's not here, right? So we can just, that's, why would you say that? You're a female. When you support, go Janeway, but okay. All right, Terry, please.
I think she probably has other issues.
Maybe.
Maybe it's other issues.
Are we analyzing her? So her question was, Dax was originally a male, is that right? And
Well, the worm
the
was
previous host was male, yes.
and a very old man. Yeah.
And how did that affect your playing the character?
Being that I'm 6 feet tall pretty much fed me a lot. I've been teased all my life, and it really worked in my favor for this character, being that tall. I think what was really great was the fact that my character was male in previous lives. How do I answer this? Let me tell you. I feel like I'm pretty balanced overall. I think I'm in touch with my tomboy side. So, I mean, I like gardening, I like to dig holes, I'm the one who goes to fix it, and my husband's like, wait, that's my job. I'm like, no, it isn't. You're gonna mess it up, I have to do it. Not true. But anyway, but yeah, so I feel like that alone, I felt like I could be more, that stature that Dax had, I needed it, and it was easy for me to have, because it was just part of who I am. And I think partly I was a big sister, so I would always stick up for my little sister, and I think that helped me a lot too. You know what I mean? I felt I was older than everybody else on board, so I had to be protective of everyone. In fact, I remember one time they didn't let me come. I can't remember, was it Babel, or there was an episode where Cirroc was on his own, and it freaked me out. It pissed me off so much they wouldn't let me put my arm around him. Do you remember that in the very beginning? And it really upset me that I didn't get to be. I suppose that would be the part that ticked me off. That there wasn't that I didn't get in the storyline with them, because in the very beginning, that was part of the history that I think would have helped Dax feel more comfortable in the station and helped Jadzia adjust more to her trying to get all of her lives together and all of that. So I know I segued into other, but thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Next question.
Hello. Star Trek historically has been a vehicle for social commentary, in many ways more so than a lot of what you see on television even today. And in many ways, Deep Space Nine was the most aggressive in that regard, with regards to race and gender and sexuality. In what ways did you guys get to influence that, and how did that end up influencing you as actors?
If you change a preposition, you had to get approval from across the lot. I'm not kidding you. I'm talking about that. Considering that, do you really believe that we had any due influence in any of this writing? I'm not. It's just the truth. I think part of the challenge all the time is, and I've talked to these folks and more, the challenge is to look somebody in the eye and talk to them. No matter what it is, you know what I mean? Talk to me. You see? And therein lies the power of it. I don't care if the camera's on or not. You know what I mean? I don't care, even though I notice people digging in their noses and looking at the newspaper, But if I look at Terry Farrell, I'm talking to her. You see? How could I not? I mean, so then, I mean, and the fact that the foundations of so many of the people, you know, the regular cast, the recurring characters, and the guest stars, I mean, it was very, very strong work. And if you didn't come to play, literally, like music, then it wouldn't work so well. You had to come. Bring it.
Thank you. This is your second time up on the microphone.
May I just circle?
Yeah, no, just keep circling.
This question's for Terry, and actually it piggybacks back a little bit on what Avery was just referring to. So, basically it seemed like until 3/4 of the way into the second season, you were kind of the backseat genius, and because they were pussyfooting around the fact that you had the worm in your belly, and so many things can go wrong with that. And it wasn't until Blood Oath that you basically were able to throw down and be like, no, I want to be more active. You became a much more physically active character in a physically active role. So to piggyback on what Avery was just talking about in terms of the writing, you know, Ronald D. Moore in some of his other projects has a very interactive process with actors. I was wondering whether or not that transition for you was discussion back and forth with writers, producers, directors, or whether someone was just like, no, we're gonna make her more of a badass and she's gonna roll with it, or it's just how that process came about.
Well, they made such a big deal about me that I was a man. And that I don't really think they knew what to do with the man, woman, man, woman, man, woman. And they were having a hard time deciding what they wanted to do with me. But when they decided to make my character more roguish, I was in Las Vegas too, and Ira was telling me that a lot of it is them getting to know us. So I kind of hurts my feelings a bit that they thought I made them think of me being a man. But the roguish thing, Ira said, you know, that they were championing that because of my energy and kind of how I move through the world, and it was a good choice, I thought, for me, because I was super excited to be. I'm a very highly active person. Yeah, I have a lot of energy. I'm not good contained. But yeah, so unfortunately it wasn't about having a conversation. I always liked that idea too, especially before I was an actress, imagining all of these people playing together and everyone, you know, like it's a play and that playwright's there, not dead. And, you know, like that though, and it's not, unfortunately. It's not even that way on a half-hour show. They change your lines a lot more and they're with you in the room. But you don't have as much influence for actual dialogue as much as you might give the influence just by being yourself and having that influence how they write for you.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we just have sorry for those last people in line, we just have a couple minutes left. I just want to relate one story at the beginning of Voyager. When Voyager began, Deep Space was already in their 3rd season. And we had filmed our pilot, and we had about a month or so after filming the pilot episode and the first episode after the pilot. And while we were at home, all the Voyager actors got a package through FedEx, and it was from the director of our first episode when we got back, Kim Friedman. Kim Friedman had sent this letter to us, FedEx, and it said, "Dear Voyager actors, my name is Kim Friedman. I will be directing your first episode back. I have seen your work on the pilot episode, Caretaker. Good job, except for your ability to shake." Okay, because when stuff hits the ship, you gotta shake, right? She goes, "Only you Voyager actors cannot shake more than poop," basically. you have no clue what you're doing, okay? She goes, I've included clips of my actors on Deep Space Nine shaking properly, okay? So there is this videotape that's in this package. And then she said, please practice this in front of a mirror when you're at home. And she goes, the problem is this, when you shake, you must shake from your center and let your extremities shake out. No shaking while bending forward. That's incorrect. And if you still have a problem with this, please go to any Deep Space Nine actor and ask for a demonstration. All right? All I could think of was knocking on Avery's door and him saying like, you need to turn around and go back to Voyager. Okay? I did not have time to show you how to shake. Anyway, on that note, round of applause for these wonderful actors, Cirroc, Lofton, Terry Farrell, Avery Brooks, Deep Space Nine, 20th anniversary. Give it up. Thank you guys. Thank you so much. There we go. Cirroc, Lofton.